Welcome to another Colman & Company webinar. This is Mark Vila here, and hopefully I've talked to some of you in the past, or you've watched some of my videos or some of our videos that we've had around, and this isn't your first time taking a look at us here at Colman & Company. But if it is, welcome, and we're really happy to have you join us. Today what we're going to be doing is going to be showing you how to make custom patches like this. And we're going to get really up close when we actually make them. But for now, I'm just going to do a little bit of breakdown of what we're going to be doing, what we're going to use, and then we're going to switch over to the computer screen. I'll show you a few things on there. And then we'll come back here, and by then we'll be up close, and we're actually going to make some patches together. The only step I'll really skip is the embroidery machine. But hopefully you all know how to do that by now, and that's the reason why you're watching this video, is because you already have an embroidery machine and you want to expand into making patches. So I'm turning the video off, and now we're on a screen share. Okay, so at this point in time you should be seeing my computer screen that I'm looking at, and with that you are going to see the Colman & Company website. And we're on the patch page, start selling custom patches in blue lettering right on the top. So this is the page where we've got all the information on the kits that we sell, the patch material, the patch twill, the heat seal. We're going to go over all of that throughout this webinar, and we'll finish the webinar on this page too, and we'll go through some of the products that we have on here. So the first thing that I like to cover in every one of our webinars is just our custom apparel startups Facebook group. If you are not a member, then I recommend that you jump onto Facebook and you and join. You know, if you search for custom apparel startups, you'll find this page. Click right here to join, and you'll join a community of people that are asking questions, just like Joseph here asked about some patches earlier, and we interacted a little bit, hopefully solved his problem. You'll see other folks working with artwork. You'll see folks just asking business questions. And some of them are going to be brand new to the business and seasoned. So there's a lot of interaction on here. If you're in the embroidery business or anything else, join us. We're happy to have you come along. The next thing about custom apparel startups is we do have the CAS podcast. That's our radio show that we do. So it's myself, Mark Vila, and Mark Stevenson. And we just do a show just about the business, about the embroidery business, t-shirt printing, the bling business. And we've got episodes about everything, getting found online, knowing your numbers in your business, you know, making your customers have a good experience. And you can listen live right on the website. You can download it and save it to your computer or your phone, or you can pick it up on iTunes to listen to it on the go. So this is a great business tool just for your small business owners to help you expand what you've got. The next to look at is how you probably got here, the CAS webinar site. So this site is where we list all the events coming up, and we've got a whole bunch more getting loaded in. As you can see, there's some being put up right now that haven't even had their pictures up. So we're loading this page up with a bunch of webinars. We're going to be doing how-tos, education, and some of them are just going to be about a product. So if you want to know about our vinyl kit, our cut and press kit, we're going to be going over that as well. So that's a bit of everything of who we are and what we do. And what I'm going to do now is we're going to turn the screen share off, and I'm going to bring you a little bit up close. I'm going to bring the camera up close so I can show you everything else really hands-on. You can get a good close view. So that's what I'm doing now is I'm moving my camera. And hopefully when I turn this on, it's going to be pointed just in the right spot for you. Okay, there we go, perfect. So here's one, I'm going to bring it a little bit closer. Let's go over everything that we've got that you need to start making custom patches. So I'm going to go down the line here, and we'll start with the first tool. So this is a hot knife, okay? This is the one that we have here. We have specifically chosen this one for the temperature that it reaches and for the tips that it has. So there's a bunch of hot knives out there. They're all about the same price. This one's particularly good. It's a nice, good quality device. We've used this one for just years, and it's still going. So it's a good hot knife. It's worth getting this one. We've got just some paper towel. That's it. Nothing special there. This material here is called a heat spun material, and I'm going to show you about that in just a moment. We've also got, this is our patch material. So this is, we also are, the short we call is patch matte, short for patch material. And as you can see, it's got a glossy finish and it almost looks like it is a fill stitch. So it's got a great, it gives you that good embroidered background if we look at it from different angles. So it's got some good light and sheen to it. It's very nice. We've also got our patch twill material. Okay, so this is a twill style material, much less on the sheen if we compare it. So this is more of a matte finish. These are two different colors, by the way. This is a much brighter yellow. Then we're looking at our heat seal material. Okay, so the heat seal material is like this. This is the glue on the back of the patch. This is some fierce stuff right here. Okay, this is real. This is going to give you some real good adhesion, and we're going to use all of these throughout the steps of making the patch. Okay, let's slide over a bit. And I will see questions come up and in and out and such. So every few minutes I will stop. I'll bring up the question screen. I'll answer the questions and we'll move forward. So the next thing we're going to look at here, this is silicone release paper. So parchment paper or a Teflon sheet, all of these would work. This is something that's going to protect the next thing down the line, which is the heat press. And what we're looking at here, this is a JP14 heat press that we're looking at. So this is a swing away. This is one option that you can get with your patch kits. You can use any heat press or an iron. You absolutely can. It's much less commercial. It's going to take you more time. But if you're really, really new to this and you're working with a home machine or a small, even a single needle machine, investing even $500 in a heat press might not be there for you yet. And perfectly fine. You can use an iron. Just crank it up, turn off the steam, and hang it out for a little bit longer. But we'll get into that as well. All right, so let's go right into it, okay? What I'm going to do here is I'm going to move this front and center right here. And we'll get this, I think this spot right here should give us enough room to work with. And I want you to show kind of the anatomy of what we're going to be doing and building. And I'm going to move the camera around a bit, but it's, it's just because it's the nature of what we have to do. So the most popular material that we have is our patch material. The reason that is because of the look of it. If we get up nice and close, you can see that when you embroider over this, it looks like you embroidered the entire thing. It's got a really good finish and stitch to it. And it's a nice pliable soft material, so it feels really good. It's got an elegant feel to it. It looks awesome and it's nice and vibrant. It looks just like your polyester thread, so it's really popular. But hooping this material, if you could see, there's a bit of a stretch to it. It moves. It's really soft. I mean, it's almost a t-shirt like thinness, so it's not a super thick material. But hooping it is not really easy, and we don't recommend using backing. Regular backing. Using regular backing oftentimes leads to more work, especially when you get to the hot knife portion of it, because now you've got backing and patch material. It's particularly thick. Or you've got scissors, which is a tool I do recommend as well. You want to have some scissors. So use this material right here, which is our heat spun material. And I'm going to show you where this is on the website too when you go to purchase your patches. Well, what we want to do is you want to take some of this, about the same size as your patch material. You can do your whole yard at the same time. If you're doing a bunch of patches, that's what I would recommend doing actually, is taking your whole yard of material, taking your yards of your heat spun material and go onto your heat press and just start going down it and just heat press, do about 5 or 10 seconds is all you need to adhere this. This is actually a super thin glue, and this is what we're going to use as backing. Once you put this on, this stuff will hoop like a dream, and I'll show you. So I'm going to spin this a bit just so you can see. This is where our silicone release paper, we sell this in packs. I recommend this, not because we sell it, but we sell it because I recommend it. That's really the other way. The reason is because you can use this a ton of times over because of the silicone coating. You can use store parchment paper, no problem. The problem with that is If you've cooked with parchment paper before, it browns pretty quick, and it's going to tear up and start to fall into a million pieces. This will not do this. You can tear this up a lot. And if you buy one package of this, it's going to last you for tons of patches. So we're going to press this down. And we only need to leave it, I'm going to leave it for about 5 to 10 seconds is it. While we're waiting, Mark Stevenson joined us.
I did, because I heard all the action coming from inside here, and I really wanted to see what it was all about.
Patches.
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 Okay.
Okay, so you want to do the patented cool down like this. Okay?
Is that actually patented?
I've patented that method. Okay. You go like this, and it cools it down a bit. It's just going to be hot, but it doesn't take long to cool down. So now we've fused this together, as you can see. So it's gone from clear and you can see a bit where I didn't have it all in on the heat press right there. So that's that material, and it turns into this clear backing. Now this is what you can hoop. If you find, like I did, where I didn't have it quite on the edge there, maybe I needed a couple more seconds, that a little bit of it didn't quite adhere, you can put it down again. You're not going to hurt it.
And in case that didn't come through, I could actually see that it was a little bit white.
Yeah, it's a little bit white. It's not quite there. So I would give it a few more seconds. You're not going to damage either in the materials if that happens. If you're running into that with an iron, you need to do it longer. If you're running into it with your heat press and you've gone back and done it the second time, now we're good, as you can see.
Yeah,
it's not white anywhere. If you're running into it on your heat press, you're going to want to turn your temperature up. I've got this set now just over 300 degrees. 300 to 20 is a good range as well.
And what do you think about using an iron, Mark? Because we get that question a lot.
Yeah, I mentioned it a little bit before.
Okay.
Like I said, if you've got a single needle machine and you are, really just trying to get going, or this is really a very small hobby, do it. Maybe spending $500 is not what you should do. We do have a $300 heat press, which is a next step up. But this one is about $500, and this is really a way to go. It's for one, you get a big area to work with. Compare it to your embroidery hoop. You can get a lot of patches heat pressed at once. You can get a lot of material done at once. Besides the fact that you get even pressure and even temperature, and you can run this all day. Now, the next step that we would do is we would hoop this, and I want to just show you, basically how easy this hoops. So I'm going to just standard for this. You don't have to do anything special. Maybe go a little bit tighter. What's nice about this is since it's not on the garment already, you get to work with little pieces, which makes hooping so much easier. And hoop it like normal. That's it. And if you can see, I want you to really look at the lines of the material right here.
It looks like it's already been embroidered.
Yeah, and it's perfectly straight too. Yeah. You can see that it doesn't twist or anything like that, which can be a problem with working with materials is it twists and turns and stuff. But this is going to give you a nice straight hoop. So that's hooping that material. It's very easy, as you can see. That's ready to pop in your embroidery machine. Now I'll show you, this is our twill material. Now the twill material already has an adhesive on the back. Okay, the patch material does not. Reason is, just some folks don't like this on the back, or they have specialty applications, or they're really looking for a really soft patch. And in that case, we don't have it there. This material is a thinner material, so we can put the glue right on the back of this, and you're ready to go. You don't have to do the heat spun on this. You can. You don't have to, though. There's no need for it. So you put this down, and this is going to hoop just as easy. So you don't have to be a master hooper to be able to work with this material. It's going to work really well for you. Pop this on your embroidery machine. Regular tension, regular bobbin. I'm dropping heat material all over the place. I have the one piece that I need, though, so I'm okay. So nothing special on that. Just embroider like you would embroider anything else. So before I show you the embroidery, I'm going to pause for a second and look at a couple, see if I have any questions. What temp, what pressure, how many seconds? Are you backing up? Okay. What temp, what pressure, how many seconds, and did you say the twill already has the adhesive on it? So the temperature, first of all this stuff is right on the patch page that we're going to go to at the end and where we started in the beginning. The full instructions are there. This video will also be available, and there's other videos on that page as well. But the temperature that I'm going to recommend is 320. Okay, you've got a range. A gentleman I spoke with earlier today was working with a trucker cap that was burning at that temperature.
Oh, yeah.
So I turned it down to 300 specifically to test it out for that. And it worked perfectly fine at 300, but 320 you could save a little more time. What pressure? Just medium pressure. As you can see, I don't have, I'm not putting a lot of force to close that down, but I am putting a little bit of force. So put it about a medium pressure.
And that's variable. That's something that you have to feel yourself.
Yeah,
It's
just feel
there's
it.
no numbers. You can't dial a pressure number 8 or
not on
anything.
this, not
Okay.
on these presses. On
Right.
higher end presses, you can dial in on a number, which means that usually the range is going to be 0 to 9. So medium 4 5.
Okay.
Okay. The twill material does have it has an adhesive on the back. It is only a temporary thin adhesive though. It is not the patch adhesive. That's different. That is this you would actually it's pretty thick. You can't even see through it. This is what you're going to put it on a garment with. I would not put it on a garment with either of these two glues. Okay, these would be for if you're going to do applique, it's perfectly fine. If you're going to sew it on, you can heat it on with this and then sew it on. But to adhere it to a garment permanently, you're going to want to use the heat seal. So that answers those questions, and we're going to move on to the next step. We'll close these out. Okay, very good. Let me close that up a bit. Now let me show you a couple sew outs. You want to bring it up?
Yep.
Okay. There we go. So I sewed out this UCF basketball 2015 champs. They weren't.
I wasn't going to say anything. I know they weren't. So.
They weren't. But it was I said, pick a school, pick a sport. That's what I said in the office. And these were the two random things that were dropped. And that's literally what I typed in when I sewed these out earlier. And I sewed the same thing out on this material.
What big difference in the looks?
Yeah, definitely much different in look. And we're going to cut them out too and take a look as well. So what you want to do as your next step is, so we hooped this up. We had this on the machine. Now we unhooped it, and now we're ready to take our next step, which is our heat seal step. Okay, so let's turn this over to here because we're going to go back to our heat press. This is why I recommend the heat press, is because you're going to be using a heat a few times, and if you're doing more than a few patches, the iron is more work, honestly. It's just more work. So put your patch down just like this, your heat seal material, and leave the paper that's on the back of the heat seal material with it. That's going to help you out in the end, and you'll see why. Close it up, make yourself a sandwich. 320, 10 seconds, and then I'm actually going to pop it off then, and we're going to cut it out. And then in the end, we're going to reactivate the glue. So, and as you can see, when you press it too, you get a nice, inside your patches is nice and clean and smooth, and any of the wrinkle or anything that could be caused from recouping generally goes out, or you'll just see it around your patch, but we're actually cutting that out. So let's move over to our cutting section. This is the next thing I'm going to recommend you have. You do not, this is not something that comes in the kit, but it's just something simple you can get. Some glass material is nice. Anything heat resistant is going to be good. Probably not metal, because the metal is going to get hot. The glass stays cool. You can cut on it a bunch. So just a nice thick piece of glass is great for cutting out your patches. So we'll start off with this patch material right here. I've already sewn this out, and I actually already, when I was testing my hot knife, There we go. I cut this off and cut one out already. We're going to cut this one out. So let me tell you a couple tips on cutting these. For one, the first 4, 5, 10, I mean, depending on how steady you are with your hands, you don't have to be super steady or perfect with this for it to look really good. But the first handful you do, just don't make these ones you plan on selling. Maybe you hope to sell them, but if you mess up, it's fine. Remember, this is a hand technique. You're going to have to practice a little bit, but I'm not a pro. I have not done thousands and thousands of patches. I've maybe done dozens. But it's not that hard to learn, but you just want to make sure that you're in practice mode for this. So we're going to grab our hot knife, and we're going to cut. And the faster you can go, the easier it actually is. Just make sure you're not going so fast that you're cutting through your patch. But as you get better, go faster. It's going to actually look better. The longer you hang out in one spot, the more you're melting the material. The more you're melting the material, the more likely you are to either burn it or burn over into an area you don't want. Okay? The next is I do recommend leaving a good amount of space. See, when I hooped this the first time, I didn't leave as much space as I was preferred to have, so I had to cut a pretty thin line. And I don't have much room on the top here to work with. I prefer to have a ½ inch or an inch worth of room. So when you're putting your patches together, if you need to save on material, I mean, get them as close as you can. But if you've got plenty of material and you're managing your material well, then I'm going to recommend having a good, pinky space, ½ an inch, so you have plenty of room to cut and work with everything, and you're not trying to scringe, because if you mess up a patch, that's worse than a little bit of the material you would save. So I'm going to bring this up close so we can see well. And we're going to cut, and then I'm going to take it, and I'm going to wipe off on my paper towel. And I'm going to wipe off on my paper towel every inch or so, depending on how fast I'm going. And that's going to prevent any of this material from staying on the knife and burning. If you look on this knife, it's weathered. It's been around a while. See, we can focus there well. And you can see the black, on there. So what's happening is that's material that has built up and over time. If you let that get on your tip, not only are you going to be throwing your tip away, but you're going to ruin some patches. So our tip is nice and clean, if you notice. And this is an old tip. We just wipe it all the time. So let's get into it. All right. Go at a little bit of an angle. The way I envision it is I envision that I'm kind of cutting under the satin stitch, like as if I'm trying to cut underneath it and not flat. So if you cut flat, you're going to ruin your side. And if you cut too much at an angle, you're not really going to cut. You're going to melt them and make a mess. So I want to go at a little bit of an angle and go quick. And then wipe it as you feel comfortable. And the camera, I know the camera doesn't pick up the sound because I've listened a couple times, but you can hear the stitches, being cut. You can hear kind of a crackle noise of the stitches actually being burned and cut. And if you see, what happened here is I could see as I was going, I was starting to creep up into it, and I was actually getting a little bit of the black, the satin stitch. Just stop what you're doing, and reset yourself. Okay. All right, now I'm done cutting it out, and I skipped a couple spots because I want to show you something. So for one, this is the reason why you like having that material on the back, is because now my patch stays on. Or if I had a few of these to cut, I can cut them and they're all kind of hanging out here safely. But now that I'm done, I'm going to peel it off. Okay. And like I said, I left a little extra here to show you what I would do here. So if you have a piece hanging out like this, if you can see it well, all right, stuff like that, I would just pull off, okay? You don't have to get fancy. It's kind of melted. It's going to be damaged a little bit, so you can just pull it off, and that's going to clean up well. All right, you're going to see a couple spots where I didn't get it too even on the bottom here, where I stopped at that one point, and you're going to see a spot where there's a little bit of yellow left. Now, there's not much left here. I mean, you could barely see it, but if I was delivering this to the customer, I would want to clean up that yellow edge. So this is what we're going to use another spot in the hot knife for. So I'm going to use the side of the hot knife, like that. And it'll take, it moves quickly, all right? It'll take off a good amount. So just a little bit at a time. Reset. Okay, no, it's not where I want it. A little more. Reset. Nope. And a little bit more. I think I'm good. And then you can go around. Some folks on all their patches, their kind of standard procedure is they always go around one time. And to smooth out the edge, make it really clean all the way around. Other folks do the cut, and then they're done. It really depends on just, how good you are at cutting and what your end result. Now this is ready to go. You can actually, so now you can hand this directly to your customer and you can give this to them. The heat seal is on the back. It's protected your stitches so the stitches won't come out. It's a really nice, clean, professional finish on the back, as you can see. And they can actually take this and adhere it right to and you can give them iron instructions. Say, turn the heat all the way up on your iron, find the garment that you want to put it on, turn the steam off, put it on your shirt, hold the iron down, give it some pressure, give it about 15 seconds, lift it up, let it cool. If you can't peel it off, you're done. Okay, and you can give that to your customers, or if you have your own heat press, we're going to stick it to some shirts at the end. So I'm going to put this one aside for now. And now we've got our twill. It's the same process. We're just going to do it again. Now I'm going to cut this out. I like cutting my patches out and working on them in separate pieces, especially if you're sharing responsibility with somebody. It's pretty nice to actually have this stuff stacked in assembly line. Before I cut this out, I'm going to check to see if there's some questions, because if they're about the cutting part, then I'll address it while I'm cutting this one. So let's pop up our question window real quick. Let's see, what kind of thread did we use? What type of embroidery thread do you recommend? Do you have any solutions to add Velcro? Good question. Will the patch adhere to heavy canvas material? Okay, great question. So the first one, what thread? I'm going to recommend polyester thread. Actually, my flat answer for that is I'm always going to recommend polyester thread. I find it breaks less. It's easier to work with. Some folks are big rayon fans. I think polyester is really great, and that's what we sell, and most of our customers are always asking for that. Okay, can you use a standard fabric you can adhere this to anything. Okay, this will be on video to watch later, by the way. I'm going to get rid of that question. So can you use it on, you can use this, yeah, you can put this heat seal on any fabric or canvas. Any type of textile material should work perfectly fine. I think I've only had one material I've run into so far that the heat seal did not adhere to, and that was, it was an acrylic-based hat. Okay, so it was a woman who called up and she had some beanie caps that were, and it said it was made from 100% acrylic. And she said she had a hard time with heat seal going on there. I have a feeling that there was some moisture blocking or some sort of something with that material that it just did not want to let that glue to get into there. Okay. So what kind of thread did I use? Just polyester thread is what I'm going to recommend. It cuts nice, and the temperature, it's not as sensitive. Rayon's going to be more sensitive to everything. Okay. Do you have any solutions to add Velcro? Yes. Okay, great question. This is nice and smooth on the back here. If you buy adhesive Velcro, just go to fabric store or Home Depot, Lowe's. Buy good Velcro. Don't buy the cheapest stuff you can get. Buy the best you can get. It will stick to that, and it will be hard to get off the back of this. Next time I do a video, and if you look at some old videos, you actually will see us put Velcro on the back. But just stick it on, and this is so smooth, it will stick on nicely. You're going to love it. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Okay, will it stick to canvas? Yeah, absolutely. We put it on canvas. We put it on t-shirts. We've put them on hats. We've put them on different types of cotton and polyester. So no problem. Can you sew it on? Especially leather? Yes. Yes. So first, what we run into, okay, which is more, I'm going to guess more than likely the question is about that. If somebody is making patches for motorcycle gear or any type of, the leather, type of patches or name badges, usually those, you want to keep them lighter weight on the jacket because you want the jacket to be the focus and the patches to be the accessory. So oftentimes those will be sewn on. Absolutely. I would do the same process and sew it on. That is where some folks will stop the process at the heat spun and just sew it like this and then sew it on, and they keep the patch thinner and lighter weight. You can see the difference in the thickness of the material kind of when you bend it. It's much thinner and lighter, but it's still not too heavy with the regular patch. Let's move on to the next question. Let's see, we talked about the fabric. Can you use heat and bond ultra hold instead of heat seal? I'm not familiar with that product. I will tell you, we have tested tons of things. And we just love this product. This is one of the most popular products on our site. We have people who just buy this for other uses besides making patches. So this is a great product. So my opinion is no, don't use anything else. Just use what works right and works really good. We spend so much time researching this in the beginning to find this product and have this product, made for this, that it's worth what it is. It's not a terribly expensive product, and it works great. Okay, does it need to be man-made fiber to use with the heat knife? We have not sewn onto a cotton material and cut out with success. The thicknesses of these materials that we're looking at, okay, are designed, and with the temperature of this knife. This is a kit. This works together for a reason. We tried different materials and different hot knives and different temperatures and not had great results on all of them. This combo gives great results. So the patch tool material, the patch mat material, and the hot knife we sell is a combination that works fantastic. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, someone said that they took pliers to some patches with the heat seal for testing, and it took a lot to get it off. Yes. Just to show you, and we'll show you more at the end too, but these are a bunch of patches we've put on before. And I mean, if you can see what I'm trying to do here, this stuff is real. This is good. The patch material, and if we get in close, you can see that when we go to stretch it, that is attached to the fabric. You are going to rip the shirt. You're not going to get the patch off. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. They can sew through it. Someone asked that before. So I'm going to pause on the questions for a minute. Okay, and we're going to come back. So the last one was about sewing it. But yes, you can sew through these and embroider them. There are folks that do it. Different strokes for different folks. Everyone do what they like to do. Some folks will go through the whole process with the heat seal and everything and then sew it. This isn't, this heat seal material is not, it's not a super crazy thick, hard material. It's still bendable and pliable. You can sew through this material. So you can embroider through it. If you embroider through this, just remember to keep your machine clean always when working with anything. Always, all materials, but especially if you're working with heat seal and stuff, just have your air out. If you don't have a can of air, get some and keep your machine clean. So let's move on. Clean up a little bit of my mess here. Let's cut out the twill. Remember, we're using the same theories here. Go fast, go as fast as you can, wipe often, and you're going to be good. You can always go back and clean up if you went too far out. If you cut too far in, you've destroyed your patch. So remember that. If you're not feeling right or something doesn't feel like it's working out well, then just know, all right, I'll go back. You know, I see a spot that I didn't really love on the top here. I know I'm just going to go back and I'm going to clean it up. It's going to take 2 seconds. I find that both materials cut just as easy. I don't think that one is really better than the other at cutting. And we'll take my patch off. Let's see here if you can really see. On the top there, when I was going fast, I left a little bit. It's barely there. I think that's a good angle. You can see it. And this is where I'll just clean it up like this. Okay, if you feel that you have a lot left over, you can go through here and you can actually kind of recut like that as well. I mean, there's more than one way to do all these things. All right, so then I'll just go around and do my cleanup. Okay, another tip that I'm going to give you is going to be when you are getting started working with your patches, okay, and you're getting used to working with this, make your first patch, okay, be white thread going around, say, a yellow material. You know, that's going to be harder to work with than your darker colored threads. So anything that's a darker color is a little bit easier to work with. The reason is because if you burn some of this material, see here, okay, all right, so we made a few lines. All right, that first one had some black on there I didn't wipe off, but let's wipe it clean. Okay, as I cut this, nothing happened. There's no burn there. I mean, we're just seeing angles of light, but no color has changed, okay? However, if this stuff hangs out and I don't wipe it and I keep it messy and I'm not paying attention, and you can see there's plenty of room for forgiveness. I'm not burning yet. However, this is going to build up. As you can see, you can already see that the color is already kind of changing on it already. It's no longer yellow on there. Well, I'm a little out of focus, but you can see it's a little bit darkened. And as I do this more, and if I start to spread it, there we go. Now I did it. Now you can see what I'm talking about. You see how there's a little bit of black around there? That's from the material being cooked and burned. So it's easy to go around if you're keeping a clean knife to go around, and I can cut out a square of material, and there's going to be no burns on it or anything like that, and it comes out easily. Okay? But, and there's some black thread. You know, if I cut a little bit too close there, look, a little bit of black thread. So I recommend going darker colors because if you did get a little bit of that burn, then it forgives it a little bit more because of the darker colored thread compared to if it was white thread. If you got a little bit of burn on that, you're going to notice it. So let's cut out one more just to get another view. People like to see it. Make sure my hot knife tip is nice and warm. I mean tight, sorry. What I did here is I took it and I made sure this was tight. Okay, as you're using it, especially if you're twisting and turning it, you could unscrew it a little bit. So just make sure it's tight. So let's go through again. What you're wiping off should be the color of the material. So I'm wiping it, it's got a yellowish look to it. That's how it should look. If I'm wiping off a bunch of black, I'm getting too close. All right, and we're done. And I'm going to admit one thing. All of my patch customers, the folks that make patches all day, they're way better than me at this, by the way. I mean, the more you do this, the better you get at it. You know, and they might have gotten that, you know, perfect all the way the first time. But I left a little bit on the bottom there. And again, I'm going to clean it up. And that's it. So we've made a handful of patches. And here's just a cleanup process, how I would do it on the side. And on the top as well. And just have it hang out a little bit longer. If you have some areas that you left a whole bunch, just go on it a little bit more. It'll clean up. There we go. So let's put them onto a shirt. So I'm going to spin this around. Go back to our heat press. And we will get back to questions. I know that I see a handful of questions popping up. So let's get a couple patches here. Move our stuff out of the way. And let's get this is our patch shirt. We just keep adding patches to this shirt. Every time we do a new video or webinar, we add a new patch to it. So we're going to do the sleeve. Like that. That's how I'm going to do this one. So this is really simple. You put it here. I always recommend using something between your heating element and your garments. It will reduce scorching possibilities. It will keep your heat press clean in case you had any glue or anything like that on the sides or any pieces that might be hanging out. It's just an extra safety precaution to keep your garment and your heat press perfect. Now this is 320, 10 seconds. Basically the same thing as before. You can leave this a little bit longer. And I'm going to pull up my question window while this is going. We've got a bunch of questions, so I'm going to not do that between heat presses. I'm going to jump back towards the end. I'm going to pop this up. Now, this is basically done, okay? An added step, if you really want to make this more permanent as it can be, then you can actually turn this over. Okay, since it's a sleeve, I'm kind of just rolling it inside out. But if it was a shirt, you can just turn it upside down, or you can turn it inside out even. Now I'm going to do it from the opposite side, another press. We're reactivating the glue again, and we're getting the glue to soak deeper into the shirt this time. So we actually have a further, adhesion. Oh, we're not on camera. Now we are. Okay. So UCF basketball 2016 champs. This is cooled off now. Mostly. It's still a little bit warm, but we're not coming off. And if we stretch this garment, we're going to see that this is not going anywhere. You can't stretch or rip this off. You're going to start to, I could stretch just to the point where the patch will buckle before it comes off. So this is on nice and well. And the same thing, if we go with our Twill version, so we'll just pop that over there. We'll show the same thing. We'll go to the other side of it. We'll do, there's nothing on the back of the neck here. We might as well put something there. Again, this is silicone release paper that I've talked about. It's great because I can use it over and over and over and over and over again, and I can store it in a drawer and then use it over and over again. There's that. And then again, if you want to really get it good in there, flip it over and hit it again from the opposite side. People ask, what if I heat press a patch again? Is it the glue gonna get burnt out? Not really. I mean, I've been doing this one particular shirt for a while now, and I still have a ton of patches on there that are still adhered well. So there we go. So very cool. Hats are a great idea. Someone mentioned like Twill bags. That's canvas bags. That's another great idea. Left chest logos. like for name badges is another great idea. In addition to leather jackets, sewing them on. I mean, there's a million things you could do. In addition to just selling the folks the patches. I mean, people love having their own patch, and you just say, hey, stick it on your backpack, whatever you want. And there's a ton of cool things you could do. And what I used, all of these shapes are all part of our Patch Borders CDs, which are pre-made patches with, because these aren't just regular satin stitches that we're using. Okay, we've got extra stitches in these to make them even easier to cut. We found that a regular satin stitch by itself, although it works fine, it's not as forgiving. It's more forgiving with kind of the multiple underlays, the heavy satin stitches. Then we have another stitch that actually locks all the way around, and that really helps you from ever getting any stitches that pop up or move. I highly recommend it. So I'm going to go into back to the screen share really quick because we've kind of shown everything we need to show here, and I'll jump back on camera if we need to. But let's go down here. We'll show off our fancy patchwork for a couple minutes while I answer some questions. Okay. We got a big rhinestone F on there too. I'm not sure where that came from, honestly. I don't think I put it there. All right, so where's my questions? Okay, here we go. So let's look at some of these questions. Let's get them answered. And this is the time to ask more if you've got some. Let's see. Can you sew through the material? We went over that. Yes, absolutely you can. If a patch with the adhesive is sewn into a uniform, so it can be removed, is there a danger that the glue would be activated and adhere if exposed to heat later, like in a dryer? I would say a dryer doesn't get that hot, so I don't think you would run into that. However, what I would say is that if you knew that you wanted to be able to create and remove and add them on, like you were going to be handling uniforms for folks and you were going to be doing the work, then I probably would just stick with the heat spun material or the twill back and not even have all of that extra glue on the back there. You could probably just avoid that, especially if you're going to be sewing them on. I would just avoid it. You don't have to spend the money on the material, and that makes sure you don't have a permanent adhesive back on there. I don't think a dryer would. However, how people dry their clothes is not up to you. Do they put them on high? Do they overload the dryer? Is this thing going to be stuck on the side of a dryer wall right next to the heating element the entire time because they packed it and it never tumbles, where this one piece gets, a few hundred degrees where everything else in the dryer is damp? You can't control that. So if you think you're going to be removing a lot and you're doing it for customers, I would avoid the heat seal if possible. Someone said, thank you, you're welcome. So for embroidering patches, you recommend using an acrylic fiber. Have you tried natural fibers? Can they be knit or woven? Okay. So for the patches, just to be clear, I said someone had used an acrylic that did not work out very well for adhering the heat seal to it. Okay, so that was the only material I've run into where the heat seal did not want to glue really, really well. Polyester, wool, cotton, canvas, polyester blends, moisture wicking type of stuff. We've gotten all of these materials to work great with it. What you want to sew your patches on is you want to sew your patches on the twill, and you want to sew your patches on the patch material. So there's the patch twill and the patch material. These are what I recommend sewing the patches on. These are meant for cutting out and sewing. Anything else, any other materials, I wouldn't recommend using for a patch just because we haven't tested anything else. But for adhering it, gluing it on, you can glue it on to just about anything. Okay. So someone said that they have that they cut with scissors. There is no reason why you can't cut with scissors or knives or anything like that. We've got customers that have done that as well. The downside of that is I'll show you right here, and this is the reason why I like to keep the camera on. Okay, so let's get, as we're cutting around with scissors, okay, I've got this edge now, okay, which isn't that big of a deal. However, this edge over time, let me show you what we can do here. And I'm just rubbing this with my finger now, nothing too extravagant, but look at what's happened to the edge of my patch. Okay, it's frayed. And I've got, and you can see actually I have fibers and material. So I mean, just to make, show you, I'm not even exaggerating on it. It doesn't take that much to fray up the edges. And I can already pull material off. That's the downside of using scissors, is you can run into situations like this. You can run into situations where your satin stitches pop up. That's not going to happen on the edge of this stuff. It's basically cauterized. So I mean, you can come at this stuff with, scissors, and you're going to scrape off material and not ruin your embroidery. That's the reason why the cauterization, the melting of that fabric, or the melting of the fabric around it helps to really keep it all together and tight, and it doesn't fall apart on you over time. You want your customers' patches to last as long as they keep them and not fall apart. So someone says, yeah, can you cut as with scissors? Absolutely. I mean, we have people that do that, and you can. It's just you're not going to get that cauterized edge. Let's see. How much is the embroidery software? I'll show you the patch what we have for the designs. Okay, great. So someone asked about software again. So let's turn off the video, everybody. I'm not going anywhere yet, though. I'm just turning on the screen share. Now we're screen sharing. We're back where we started, remember? Okay, so let's talk about what we used to create the patches. All right, first of all, any design software that you have is fine. You can use any embroidery design software because it's DST files. If you do not have design software or you don't like what you have, if you go to design software on our website, just go to our homepage, design software, choose embroidery software, okay? Free software, Stitch Area Universal. If you haven't used this, it's a Sierra product. It's a nice product, okay? If you click on here, it'll take you to a page. There's some instructions and such. And as you get here, you can click Get and Play, Stitch Area Universal, start the free download. Okay, so that'll give you a week to use the software, and that's what I literally used to make what you saw. I just used that. I just used the simple version that we have. Once you're in the software, though, now we'll go to our embroidery supplies and our patch kit material. What I've used was our Patch Borders CDs. And if you want to see Stitch Area Universal with the patch, just click here and you can watch it. But these are $99. And what I used was the name tags version, and it shows what it comes with. They come in multiple sizes. You open up your embroidery software. You open up one of these designs that comes on there. There's a picture of them and DST files. You open one up. Now you've got that. It's already sized, ready to go. If you want to resize by 10%, that's fine. I wouldn't recommend more up or down than 10% though. Go to your lettering, put whatever lettering you want in, drop designs that you want to put in there, whatever it might be. We've got police, fire, and EMT. We've got states. So you've got all the states. And put in whatever lettering or designs that you want to add on. Here I put a little bull and a name. Whatever it might be, add it in there, save it as a DST, pop it in your embroidery machine, sew it just like anything else. You don't need any special settings or designs. I just recommend just pay attention to sewing it just like anything else. In regards to densities, or if you put underlays or not, or if you use pull compensation or not, that's going to be up to you and your lettering and the size of the lettering that you're doing. That's all part of digitizing. Someone's got to go, but said thank you for the great presentation. I hope we helped out a whole bunch of people. What I'm going to recommend is check out our patch kits, okay? So you can see this patch kit right here is basically what I'm using today. That's with the heat press you saw. That's the JP14 heat press. You get the material. You get the hot knife holder. We've also got just our smaller patch kits. We've got white, black, and duo. The duo has white and black. It also comes with a couple other things, like you can see the hot knife holder. This one just has a hot knife by itself. Hot knife holder is nice, so you can keep it up and out of your way, and it's hot. You don't want to mess with it. Then we've got our patch borders CDs that you'll see here. So here's where you can buy a CD of the patch borders. And let's go back one other step. Here's our patch material, okay, and the colors that this is available in. And then we've got our patch twill, which is the patch twill is a large, and we've got a celebrity walking in.
Oh, stop it.
The proprietor and inventor of our patch kits, Michael Georgievich is here. You've seen him in some other videos. The camera's off. We're on screen share now.
That's great. Because I'm not wearing a shirt.
He is not wearing a shirt.
Yeah, it's horrible.
But no, we've got more colors obviously coming out. We got some brand new ones that the colors are coming up soon.
Looks like little shadows.
Yeah.
I like that.
So, but we have more colors available on the twill than we do on the patch material right now, and as you can see, we've added new ones. So the images coming soon, and that's where you're going to find our patch materials. And then we'll go back one more, and here's where you can find the heat seal backing. Here's your heat seal, and then here's your heat spun. If you remember the two differences, the spun is the thinner one that's not really designed for permanent adhesion. And the seal is the one that you put it towards the end of the process, right before you cut out, that has the white parchment type of backing. And then we've got our hot knives. So if you need to buy a hot knife separately or a second one, here's where you can get the hot knife. We've got a mini tip and then just a regular tip, and here's a hot knife holder stand. So you can buy everything a la carte, or you can buy a pre-made kit. We've got a demo here on this page that you can view as well. And I'm going to go to the question area because it looks like we have a couple more. What density should the design be? That is going to be so much dependent on your on the lettering you're doing, the size of the lettering you're doing, everything like that. Just use standard. The video will be emailed to you, to everybody though. What I'm going to do now is there is a chat function that I can open up here. And in this chat function, I'm going to share with you some links. So the first link that's coming through is the link to the patch material page that we're on. The second one is to the Custom Apparel Startups group. Now that we're done, you can open up Facebook and join that group. The next one is the podcast. And then if you want to see some more about patches with an embroidery machine, we are doing that tomorrow evening. And I'm linking to the webinar site as well. Oh, I just did that one. I'm going to do this one.
Did you cover the border CDs?
We covered the border CDs.
Nice.
We covered the different materials. We cut out both twill and regular patch material. We hooped it. We did some heat seal. We did some rip-off testing. We did a little bit of everything.
Excellent.
We spent a bunch of time. So thanks everybody for joining. Looks like the question window's popping up again. I'm making sure that there's nobody else asking. What tip did I use? I used the universal tip. I used the universal tip for this.
It'll handle most of what you need to do, but there have been times I wish I had the use of a smaller tip. So just to have it is helpful because you can just get greater detail on some of the real fine stuff. So universal tip, just like it says, it's universally used for almost every patch, but that little mini tip is about a third smaller than the universal. So the mini universal does have its uses. Great.
So it's one of those things, if you're buying the kit, it's so inexpensive. I just say just own both. Even if you keep it in the package for 3 months before you end up using it, it's so cheap and inexpensive while you're getting it. It's one of those great to just add it in, but it's not necessary. So thanks for joining us. Check the links that I just sent you. Go to our website. This video will be up on the website. This video will also come to your email, so you're going to get it in both. And this video will more than likely be on the Custom Apparel Startups Facebook page as well. So we've got a bunch of different places for you to find this video and more videos coming up. Thanks everybody for watching, and we will see you in the next webinar.